Welcome to the Green Streets Forum, where we discuss the topics and trends focused on environmental responsibility and green awareness. We're spreading the message about sustainability with the goal of sharing this information with our diverse community. We all know so that we all grow. Today, we're excited to welcome our special guest, Dr. Yasuyuki Motoyama, who will be joining us to share insights and perspectives on today's topic. And now, let's jump into today's episode with your host, Kimberly Bullock.
Welcome back to Green Streets Forum. Today, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Yasuyuki Motoyama. Please correct me if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. Did I do it correctly?
That's correct, but you can just call me Yas.
Okay, all right. A nationally recognized researcher whose work focuses on entrepreneurship, economic mobility, and building stronger communities through innovation and opportunity. Dr. Motoyama, Yas, recently participated in last week's Cityscape Summit 2026 in New Orleans, which I had an absolutely awesome time, where researchers and community leaders came together to discuss equity in energy, economic barriers, and pathways forward for underserved communities, specifically with HBCU CDAC, which, for those of you that may not know, stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities Community Development Action Coalition. Today, we'll break down some of the important ideas in a way that connects directly to everyday people, neighborhoods, universities, and the future of sustainable growth. Dr. Motoyama, Yas, thank you so much for joining us today on Green Streets Forum. Okay.
Nice to be here.
Absolutely. All right, so let me let my listeners, viewers, know some great things about you. And again, I was very, very happy to spend some time with you. Not enough, but I'm glad that I did get some time to spend with you. You are affiliated with the Ohio State University, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You have a strong academic and research background, including your education at University of California, Berkeley, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so your research focuses on entrepreneurship, ecosystems, economic development, and high growth firms. Am I correct?
Yes.
And your key research themes include entrepreneurial support organizations, regional innovation ecosystems, inclusive entrepreneurships, and economic and innovation policy. Is this correct?
Yes, they
Okay.
kind of touch my key research area.
All right. And you have published a lot of academic research. I did get some time to really dig in deep into what I wasn't being a stalker. I really was checking you out and seeing what you were doing. And you are very well known for discussing how entrepreneurship ecosystems are unevenly distributed geographically. And that does limit opportunities for founders outside of the major startup hubs. Okay, so I have some questions prepared. There are only 5, but I'm hoping that this will give my listeners a broader understanding. And, you know, the thing about my podcast is our listeners, they aren't what you would consider the academic. They're not academics. They're not part of the academic world. But my goal is to bring them some information and bring them closer to your world, because one of my mottos is the more you know, the more you grow. And being that you are from the world of academia, I think that you kind of fit that mold in that you can bring that. So what you're going to find from these questions are that I'm going to ask that you take your knowledge and kind of make it user-friendly for my audience, okay? So let's get started.
Sure, let me try.
Okay. The first question I have is, one of the things with your report and the research that you did, because I looked at the report when I was there, it talks about building pathways and not just identifying barriers when it comes to working with equity and what you all were talking about. What does building pathways actually look like in practice when I was looking at, your research. Can you tell me what that would mean?
Sure. But maybe let me take a step back and share some of our findings first. That we have talked to many African American energy researchers at major research universities, HBCUs, and we also talked to a good number of non-Black researchers as well. And it has become apparent that many African American researchers feel some kind of barriers, systemic barriers around them at multiple levels. While when we talked to non-African American researchers, they were not reporting any of those barriers. And some of them, many of them are subtle ones. Like, usually people are not experiencing very explicit racial stigma or, discriminations. But most of them come from subtle kind of behaviors of people that, maybe it's formed around cultural differences. Some kind of a communication style differences, or something that things didn't click between people. And that can kind of magnify to broader challenges of transcending some of the knowledge needed for the career development of the energy researchers. Yeah, and these energy researchers are basically PhD level university professors, and they may be in a different rank of assistant professor, associate professor, professor, also called a full professors. And it's not that after receiving a PhD, someone lands on a university job and everyone will be, happy and developing the career nicely. There is much knowledge about how exactly you can build that career by getting to know what kind of publications are more important than others, what kind of grants will count more than other grants. These are just a couple of examples. And that kind of knowledge is often in people's minds, heads. It's not written in PhD or textbooks somewhere. Yeah. And so sharing that kind of information was rather smoothly happening among white or non-African American researchers. But that may not happen to African American energy researchers.
Okay. I want to dig a little bit deeper in that with your research.
Yeah.
What did the research reveal about the collaboration? Because you talked about, the actual data, because what I'm hearing you talk about is the data. What did it reveal about collaboration between the institution and the communities? What did you find out also when you peel back the layers? What did you find out about any collaboration?
Yeah. Certainly, great questions. So under those somewhat constrained situations, what African American energy researchers did was that they still tried to find sources of information, knowledge through mentors, and quite often universities provide a mentorship at the department level, but sometimes that can be very difficult. For example, if you are the only African American professor in your department, your mentor is not, of the same background. And sometimes you cannot ask the question that you really want to ask. So under those constraints, many of the African American researchers seeked out mentorship outside the department, outside the university, sometimes outside their regions. So in that sense, they were forming a lot broader inter-regional collaborations.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we were finding.
Okay. I like to hear that. I just feel like that collaboration is important. I know being a member, or what I used to be a part of an HBCU. I graduated from an HBCU, Coppin State. Sometimes we find that HBCUs are in their own little capsule, and I'm assuming that's a lot of the problem here, that, what you are revealing here is that there needs to be some sort of, like you said, interaction, which is, I'm kind of putting it in plain speak, which would make it a lot more equitable. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. You actually answered the question, the third question. The third question was, why are mentorship and professional networks so critical in research? But you just answered it. So we can actually, you did answer that about the mentorship and networks. You really just answered that question within question 2. And I do believe that the mentorship is important, creating that network. So you answered that. Now here's question 4. What are some misconceptions people have about innovation and energy research? What are some misconceptions as you're going through the research process? And you're doing a lot, because that report was very, very hefty. I read it cover to cover. But what are some misconceptions that you may have come about when you did the research?
Sure. In many of the innovation and science and technology literature, people tend to assume that like a meritocracy works. Like, these are the PhD people, highly educated. If they do good research, they can publish. If they are a productive researcher, they can get grants from prestigious funding agencies such as National Science Foundation. In terms of energy, then Department of Energy, or some other places. However, it's not that simple, because people's relationships are often formed around certain people's background attached, some other networking behaviors, cultural behaviors attached. So that means it can go on the other way, in a sense that much of the knowledge will be shared among certain groups of people, but not with other groups of people, or funding will go to, same kind of people, but may not be, funding may not be channeled to other kinds of people. And this is not, simple as, it's just a race is the only factor, but, it could be gender, it could be some other, it could be like a school, alumni school, like where you got your PhD and how you are developing the mentorship. So, there are many layers attached here, but what we were finding was race was one of the factors involved here.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from you is it can be multifaceted.
Yes.
A degree from Binghamton can be different than a degree from Caltech or something like that. It can just be the difference of the institutions. It's not just the I don't want to say the usuals, but the usual differences like race or sex or orientation. I understand what you mean, but there could be other things. So that is definitely interesting to note. And I want to close out with a very interesting question. I think this is really going to hit close to home. And I think it's probably the heart of what you do and the heart of what all researchers do. What impact do you hope this research ultimately has? Because that is why you do what you do, is you do research because you want to make an impact. So that's how I want to close. And I really appreciate this 15 minutes that we've spent together. What impact do you hope this research ultimately has?
Great question. I have to keep thinking, but let me try here. That our research can inform a few things. And most importantly, if mentorship is important, but that was happening only very sporadically and also on an ad hoc individual basis between, like, let's say, two African American energy researchers at different distant universities, we can probably institute some other forms of like a broader mentorship programs that is kind of, more like a university consortium, professional association consortium, that we can bring in different, let's say, African American energy researchers from different institutions. We can still probably make some kind of matches between mentors and mentees. And that can probably facilitate, accelerate sharing the knowledge, success stories, role models, good examples among the African American energy researchers. So we hope that we can start to propose and pilot some mentorship programs over time. Yeah.
Okay. So there you have it, Green Street listeners. Dr. Yaz has given us a bird's eye view of his very pivotal research. And what it is that he is trying to do is cause the academic world to be a more equitable place. And so that we know that everyone is considered, because all research is good research if it is done well. And we need to look at those researchers that are trying to be impactful, and maybe there needs to be a collaboration. And I thank you. Actually, there does need to be a collaboration, and I thank you, Dr. Yaz, for trying to make sure that the pieces are in place and people know why this is very important. I do appreciate your time. I know your time is precious. And any last words?
No, thank you very much for this opportunity, Kimberly.
Okay, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe the next Cityscapes, we'll see each other again. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Mr. Golad and everybody with HBCU CDAC for putting me in touch with you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Good to see you again here,
All right.
This episode of the Green Streets Forum is powered by USB Solar Solutions, distributor of SunSign, solar-powered signage lighting the way to a cleaner and brighter future. In collaboration with The Ohio State University and HBCU CDAC, supporting research, innovation, and real-world solutions that drive sustainability and create lasting community impact. If you enjoyed today's conversation, visit usbsolars.com to learn more. Let's keep pushing forward and power the future of clean energy, one sun sign at a time. Until next time, stay inspired and stay green.